It didn't take long for Diana and Tyler to reach the cafeteria. When they did, Brody, Caleb, and Jen were already there in line for their food. On the looks of things, they hadn't been far behind, as the three of them were at the back of the line, with the other students attempting to keep a considerable distance from them. Diana and Tyler joined their friends and were greeted by Jen. Once again, going off on the food. I swear to God, if I have to eat another slab of raw meat, I'm going to lose my mind. Oh, come now, Jen, Diana said. Don't you think you're being a tad over dramatic? I mean, to these people, uncooked food is just the normal way they eat. And what my biology teacher said, the reason they eat their food raw is because they have no reason to cook it. Brody said raw meat for them doesn't make them sick. You can't get infections from it like meat from Earth. Apparently, well, that would explain why all of our dorm's kitchenware was imported from Earth. They don't cook anything, so things like ovens and microwaves are an unimaginable concept for them. Diana said, well, Jen spat out, that may be the case for them, but I refuse to eat some uncooked slab of plastic. When I get my food, I'm taking it back to our dorm and cooking it at once. The others turned to each other, eyebrows raised, and with a single collective thought in mind: why didn't they take their food back to their dorms and cook it all? Right then, Jen, will follow this idea of yours, but on the condition that you cook our food, Tyler said. Besides, I'm the only one who's taken cooking classes here anyway, considering both of my parents work in 5-star restaurants back home. Jen said, not even bothering to hide the smugness of her voice. But the humans failed to realize was the presence of the certain Pyth Rock standing behind them waiting for her meal as well. Alia just so happened to hear the group talking about them returning to their dorm to indulge in this cooking activity. This is it, she thought, the perfect opportunity to learn more about these elusive death. If what the human with the short black fur on her head was going on about, then this cooking had to be important to their race, especially if the others were so willing to agree to this activity. Excuse me, humans, Alia tapped Diana on the shoulder. This a cooking activity. I overhear discussing it, and I was wondering if I could participate in it. Oh, I mean, I guess sorry if I seem a little shocked. I just never thought that cooking of all things would be so strange to other sentient races in the universe. Diana turned to Jen, and without even saying a word, Jen responded, well, if it means introducing the galaxy to the most important concept of human existence, then I will be more than willing to cook your food as well, Miss Alia. Well, Alia, once we've gotten our food, follow us back to our dorm, and we'll cook it up. I'm pretty sure the gravity machine in there is set so that won't activate if any non-humans are in there, so don't worry about that. And said once the group got their lunch, they began to make their way to their dorm. They'd have to pass through the history section of the school to get there, so they might run into a teacher or two. In fact, as they were walking by, Mrkero was inside his class, still going over the notes. Diana had left him. He'd finally gotten to the wildlife of Earth, and he was most fascinated by it. He was especially interested by these animals called owls, the strange noises they made, and their facial features. Mrcs Rose might not have been a biology teacher, but this was certainly something he couldn't pass up. He'd even forgotten about lunch, that was, until he heard Diana and her friends walked past his class talking to each other. He looked up to see why they weren't in the cafeteria, and found them heading towards the dorm. Curious, he decided to get up and follow them. Once the group got back to the dorm, Athalia was instantly enthralled by strange otherworldly items. Years since everything in the dorm had been imported from Earth, much like everyone else's dorms having said items imported from their respective planets, she took the chance to take in what appeared to be human culture. The living area was something to be expected, but it was the contents of the room that she was fascinated by. A strange-looking tower-licky structure, made out of plastic, placed under what appeared to be a human TV. It had markings that Athalia couldn't read. She figured that it was because it was written in the human native language. Ah yes, the PlayStation 7. The peak of video game power. Quite the console, isn't it? These bad boys are sold out almost everywhere. I was surprised when I heard they were able to get us one, Caleb said for the last time. PC is far better than anything you and your PlayStation 7 can muster. Last time I checked, those things still can't play games in 8K resolution, something that PC has had for years. Dean snapped at Caleb. Not only that, but we have far more variety in our game catalogs than you'll ever have, so you can take your exclusives and go beg on Sony's doorstep. Not to put them on steam. Caleb turned to face Diana. Now hold on just a min, am I? Interrupting something Mr. Kahiro asked. As he entered the dorm, I noticed that you were walking towards the dorms instead of the cafeteria. And I wanted to know why exactly. It is lunchtime after all. Jen walked out of the kitchen appearing in a chef's outfit. Simple. We're cooking our lunches, and cooking, Mr. Koss said in confusion. I think it's a sort of human activity. Or ritual they do before eating. I'm not sure what it is though. Athalia responds something like that. Hey Alia, I understand your race is unable to consume capsaicin, correct? I assume you don't want any on your meat. If that's the case, Jen asked. Athalia responded adamantly, of course not. Capsaicin is an extremely dangerous substance ground down and used in bioweapons. Even the smallest dose of that stuff would burn my insides out and destroy my body within minutes. Okay, while I knew you guys were all in baby mode when it came to existence, but I didn't think you'd die from everything under the sun, Jen said, her face in complete shock. It's okay, Alia, humans are somehow capable of consuming capsaicin without any side effects. It sounds completely insane, but rest assured that they mean no harm. Mr. Koss told Alia, who herself was in complete shock of the notion. She didn't even have words. What about you? Mr. Kiros want to try your hand at human food? Diana asked him. I'm sure, why not? Right, that'll be a vegetarian burger as well then, Jen said, before walking back into the kitchen. For the next 10 minutes, Athalia and Mr. Kiros looked around the human dorm, taking in all of this unnatural culture. After all, it wasn't every day that you got to learn about Death Worlders. Most of their technology was similar to other races, and neither of them got any time to take a good look around. Hell, the two of them couldn't even take any books back with them, due to being unable to read any written human language. Lunch is served. Jen's voice rang out in the dorm. The human ritual is complete. Is it time to eat? Athalia asked. Yep, dig in. Both Mr. Kiros and Athalia began to inspect their food. Neither of them could make out what was in front of them. There's meat in mine, Mr. Kiros said. Don't worry, it's not real meat, it just looks and tastes like real meat. They're called vegetarian burgers, Diana said. Really? But isn't your race omnivorous? Why would you go out of your way to create? Some people can be very picky back on Earth, Jen said, her voice seeming annoyed at the concept of such a thing. Anyway, you'll be able to eat it. It's not made of any actual meat. As for Athalia, you've been given a burger, except the lettuce has been replaced with bacon. The cheese has been melted into the patty, and there's barbecue sauce on the bacon, which, by the way, has been cooked to perfection. Hesitantly, Mr. Kiros took a bite out of his veg burger, and instantly his mouth was bombarded by what seemed like 1,000 tastes. For a few seconds, he froze, unable to comprehend the tastes. He was feeling the tear even began to fall down his eye. Instantly, his mind began to internally expand, and it seemed like he was shooting throughout the cosmos at high speed. It took Diana tapping his shoulder to knock him out of his trance. Hey, are you okay, dude? Then asked Mr. Kahiro, simply nodded and spoke, while attempting to savor every bite. Good, very good. Mr. Koss was one of the older staff members at the school, and never in his entire life had he ever tasted something like this. He simply shut his eyes and slowly took another bite, making sure to properly savor every single. Alia, who had been watching Mr. Kiros this entire time, took his tears of joy as a sign that the food was safe and wouldn't melt her internal organs. She grabbed her burger and inspected it one more time. Never in her rack's concept had she ever considered something akin to burning meat on a fire. But the humans had apparently been doing this since their prehistoric times. One bite, that was all it took for her to instantly understand the importance of human concept. A heavenly taste of a roasted patty mixed with cooked bacon, grilled cheese, melted in with barbecue sauce on top. It was like the gods themselves had blessed the food. The next 30 minutes of lunch went by like a slow, eternal dream for the pair. The humans, on the other hand, ate their food like it was any other day. What they did after they finished was observe Mr. Kero and Athalia as they continued to slowly consume and savor their burgers. Even Athalia, who usually munched down her food quite quickly due to her carnivorous nature, was simply indulging herself in a slow, savory bliss. While they really haven't had cooked food before, Jen said in utter surprise. I mean, I rushed those burgers. How the hell are those to having what is basically a food orgasm from this? Well, you tasted what they were handing out from the cafeteria. If that's what they've eaten their whole lives, then just imagine the difference. In taste that these burgers are for them. Diana responded, either way it's very entertaining to watch. Yea, I guess you're right, it's not every day you get to watch something like this. Jen laughed back at the cafeteria. The students watched as a lone reaver ran into the room panting. He joined the other reavers at a table at the back. Zuka coop. Where you've been gone for 30 minutes. Explain this disappearance. My apologies, group leader Al Gag. I saw the PY. Rocks Athia leave with those Death Worlders and went to investigate. And what purpose could this investigation of yours possibly warrant? Another reaver said. Hold your tongue, Alshon, Al Gag said. Before turning to Zegok, speak. Zegok. What is your investigation found? Finds the Death Worlders. They have lured the Pyth Rocks and Teacher K heroes into their domain, and have subjected them to unholy temptation. Al Gag. And the other reavers gasp in shock. Unholy temptation of what? And the group leader, these Death Worlders, they have tampered with the pure and holy sustenance that the Great One has gifted us. They burned its purity in unholy fire. I heard it all. The reavers simply stared at each other in shock, and began to murmur amongst themselves. How dare they? One reaver bellowed, while slamming his fist on the table. How dare these Death Worlders commit such sin and lure, and others to participate in such activity? Another spoke out. Demons, hell spawn minions of the Dark One. How dare they lure in the innocent? Al Gag rose his hands. Enough, my brethren. The other reavers stopped talking, and Alag placed his hands in front of his face, in a thinking motion. We must act, my brothers and sisters, the Great One commands it. So your group leader Alshon said what we could be witnessing could be the start of the ancient tale of the Dark One's return. We must tread lightly. Go turn to Alshon. Tale? You don't mean I do? Alshon confirmed the tale that one day a race of demons would emerge from the void and destroy the purity of the Great One via unholy war, sinful temptation, and vile sacrifice. The reavers talked among themselves, once more fear beginning to emerge in their voices. What if these Death Worlders were the demons that would bring an end to the Great One's influence? Enough. Alshon spoke once again, standing up for all on the table to see him, what we may very well be seeing unfold in front of us in this very school could be the tale of the Dark One's return. However, as our ancestors did one before, we must do now. And the other reavers stared at each other. We must prevent the impurity from destroying all that our mighty Lord has gifted us, like our ancestors before us. We must, and we shall beat back the demons, and send them back into the void from when they came. The reavers began to nod, giving sounds of approval. Alshon raised his fist high into the air. And when the dust settles and the blood of the demons dry, then, and only then, shall we embark on our great journey with the Great One in sync. The reavers raised their fists into the air, screaming out their kind's ancient war cry for the Great One. I'm just saying that PlayStation is better because of how we have better exclusives, and yet Xbox still beats out your console in performance. Well, this was going on. MRK heroes and Athalia were finishing the last crumbs of their food. From the looks of things, they definitely enjoyed their meal. Jen simply gave a smirk. So you two seem to like my cooking. I'm flattered, honestly. I think I'm the youngest person to ever prepare food for an alien. Mr. Ciros was still recovering from his food, high, breathing heavily. He recomposed himself, or at least tried to. Mr. Kairos, never in my life have I ever tasted food so amazing. This cooking ritual. Do you humans always prepare food like this, Broy? Most of the time when it comes to light snacks, we usually just eat it without cooking it. Sometimes, you don't actually need to cook food as it's already prepared for consumption. So you only cook your food if it's required for you to. Correct. Not only that, but on Earth there are people like my family who specialize in cooking and will dedicate our entire careers to it. And here I was thinking I had seen everything the galaxy had to offer. You humans really are full of surprises. Just then Diana's phone alarm went off, the signal that lunch was ending. Well, I guess it's time for class. I'll see you guys later. Yes. I have a younger history class to teach right now. I will see you tomorrow. Diane, for second period. I'm Man J. I'll see you tomorrow then. With that, everyone went their separate ways. As for Diana and Jen, they had war together while they were heading to class. They got to talking. So you think that space war will be different to Earth war? Who knows? Hopefully it won't be as boring as ours is. Jen chuckled in agreement. After walking for a bit more, Jen stopped in the middle of the hall, confused. Diana decided to ask if she was okay. Hey, are you good? Oh yeah, I'm fine, I guess. Diana frowned. It wasn't like Jen to suddenly lose herself like this. Jen, I know you in all the time I've known you. You've never stopped in the middle of somewhere and lost yourself in thought. Jen looked up. She couldn't help but look at Diana with a saddened look in her eyes. It's just everything's so weird right now. I mean, we're halfway across the goddamn galaxy, with thousands of other people in this school who see us as walking, talking, killing machines. Yeah, I guess. This whole situation is pretty right now to think we aren't even on Earth anymore. I guess everything seems so simple. Back on Earth, we went to school, did our work, and went home. Now we're solar systems apart from the rest of our race. I just feel so isolated. To be fair, Earth had its fair share of problems too. Plus, in all honesty, you seem to be handling the situation pretty well. Yeah, I guess you're right. We should probably get to class. And with Diane agreeing, the two resumed walking to biology. While they were, Diana turned to Jen. Hey, I've been meaning to ask, have you told your parents yet? Wait, do you mean? Yes. Jen looked down at the floor. No, not yet. I mean, how could I? They're massive homophobes. Not only that, they're also on edge about work all the time. The last thing they'll want to hear is that their daughter is in a relationship with a girl. Hey, it's not easy telling your family that you're gay even in this day and age. My uncle was the first person I told, and I asked him not to tell my parents for fear of how they would react. Of course, I told them eventually. My mother was okay with it, but my dad, it took some time for him to accept it. Yeah, well, my parents are religious, so they're naturally more homophobic than most out there. Diana stopped and turned to Jen. Hey, even if everything goes to, I'll still love you. Besides, I know that your parents compare you to others a lot and want you to be like them. They aren't the nicest out there. Diana put her arms around Jen. No matter what happens, I'll still be here, okay? Yay, good. And proceeded to kiss Jen on the lips, which caught her off guard. Luckily, she didn't mind it. However, at that same moment, the couple were unknowingly being watched from around the corner by a pair of reavers. Is Zagok, see, I told you by the Great One they sin in front of us, two females together. An unforgivable act. That's what you're concerned about, using Sun Khan after everything you've heard today about them being at least 10x faster than us, them having the strength to lift us without a sweat, and them literally tainting the Great One's food. Your biggest concern is two females being in a relationship. Of course, you know what the sacred texts imply. Only a male and female may be together, and they must not partake in any sort of action that could lead to them fornicating before marriage. What we're witnessing in front of us are acts that clearly go. Alan's claws met his face, attempting to cover his disappointment in his friend's stupidity. Don't you think we should be gathering information on how strong these demons are and how we can beat them? We've already established that they care not for the Great One. In his words, for your information, that's your job. You're the one who's got class with them. As the group leader said, you are to gather as much intel as you can on how we can gain the advantage in battle. Once we have enough, we'll attack on. K, still think we should take care with confronting these demons. We are no match for them in a direct engagement. As for the mission, don't worry about me, worry about your mission. My war class is taught by a Reaver veteran of the Holy War of 5 Ridium 5. I shall speak to him and use his knowledge to seek out ways to find weaknesses in our foe. Very well, I shall be with the group leader in our class, discussing tactics. 2 Reavers separated, with Zilla King to face. Alshon, may the Great One be with you all. Son, likewise. Alshon followed the same path as Diana and Jen, eventually reaching the class. Luckily, he wasn't late. Beam me greetings, everyone. I am War Veteran VRA of House Grey M for those of you who are new, but you may call me Mr. Vikra. Mr. Vikri looked around the room and spotted Diana and Jen. MRV, now, I've been made aware of 2 new students in this class. Students, which are humans, please step in front of the class and introduce yourself. Dina and Jen got up out of their seats, approaching the front of the class. As this was happening, Alshon looked on intensely, something that MRVRI picked up on. However, he decided not to bring it up. My name is Diana, and this is my GF friend Jen. We're humans originating from the planet Earth, which is, from my current understanding, the highest level of death world currently recorded. Mr. Vakari pondered to himself. For a moment he had heard that the humans came from an extremely dangerous death world. He had even heard rumors of them coming from the highest category of death world. But he took those rumors with great skepticism, as his old age had made him wise to such rumors. However, it appeared that such rumors were in fact true. I also understand that your race has quite a bit of experience in War, this confuses me. From my understanding, your race had never gotten into contact with other sentient species up until you made first contact with the alien just outside your system. How is it that your race is as adept at war as it claims to be? Diana looked confused for a moment. She thought the answer was obvious, but she then remembered that compared to the rest of the galaxy, humans were quite self-destructive in fighting. Lots of infighting. In fact, in most of human history, we've been fighting each other. It was only up until we made first contact with the alien that our race unified, more or less anyway. Mr. Vickery once again pondered to himself. The only wars that had ever been fought in galactic history were wars between races, and even those were rare. As for the rest of the class, a good portion were shocked at such a concept. Mr. Veer, for a race to be constantly infighting, yet become a space-faring species, indeed a strange concept. It appears that I have much to learn about your race, as you have about ours. You two may seat yourselves. And with that, Diana and Jin returned to their seats. Mr. Veer returned to the lesson at hand. Mr. Vikra: now class, as discussed in the prior lesson, I will be teaching you about the Holy War of Validum 5, and how, despite it being called a holy war, it was a grave mistake that led to the death of hundreds of thousands. The class shook their heads in sadness. Every single one of them knew that the war was a terrible mistake on part of the Reaver Council, even though they had yet to admit it. Even Mr. Vre lowered his head in shame for a brief few seconds, his mind flashing back to the innocence that he had struck down in the name of the Great One. Mr. Visor: now how this works is simple. Mr. Visor tapped some buttons on his teaching pad, and a holographic interface of what appeared to be a battleground sprung up on everyone's desks. Each of you will be put into groups of 3 together. Your group must create and command an army to destroy the enemy forces. You will have all but the last 30 minutes of the lesson to complete the simulation. Remember, do not feel bad at failure. This is one of the hardest war simulations that we have to offer. Once you witness such a simulation, you will understand what it's like to command an army into battle, and the means that you have to go through in order to achieve victory. Begin with that. The students began to get into groups of 3. This was a problem for Diane and Jen, however, as they were the only 2 humans in the class, and pretty much everyone else was basically scared shitless of them. Alaman's humans: I shall group with you. Oh, hey there. Ashur Alshan took a seat next to the humans, observing as Diana and Jen inspected the holo projector. Okay, so I can't read this well, at least not properly. Yea, neither can I. Oh, hang on. Jen pulled out her data P from her pocket, along with a wire that she plugged into it. And the holo projector, after a few clicks, the button prompts seemed to duplicate themselves, except appearing in a language that Alshan wasn't familiar with, which was English. I assume that these symbols are your species' native language. Yep, well, one of them, just the one that we can read anyway. After that brief discussion, the group began the test. Alshan was the most familiar with this particular form of test, as he had taken easier versions of it in previous years. However, he was surprised at how quick the humans were catching. Onan especially was learning fast. You learn quick, humans. I am surprised. I was under the impression that you were unfamiliar with this form of test. Well, depends on the context. Honestly, I'm more surprised that you guys class Command and Conquer as a test, and not a video game. Awesome. I'm sorry, what are you referring to? Oh, humans have video games on Earth that are very similar to this test. Actually, I have several Command and Conquer games on my PC back at home that function almost exactly like this test. I always had a thing for strategy games. Let's just continue. Not long after the trio finished the test, which was something that most other groups couldn't say, Alshan was actually surprised at the results, as they not only defeated the simulation, but they did so rather well. Most of their actually survived the attack. Once it was over, Mr. Vri went over the results of each team. As expected, most failed. But upon looking at the results of Diana, Jen, and Alshan, he was taken aback. Mr. Vicker: well, this is certainly a development team 5. I wish to speak to you at the end of class. Diana, Jen, Alshan looked at each other. They all had the same look of worry among their faces, despite one of them having a facial structure far different than the other 2. Once class did end, Mr. Veer approached them, before giving them an unexpected level of praise. Mr. Veer: well done, you 3. I must say, in all my years of teaching, I've never seen such high marks on a test of this difficulty. I am Mr. Veer. You 3 have impressed me. Such a thing isn't easy to do. Now Diana, yes, Mr. Vicker, Mr. Veer, I will be the first to admit I spent most of the lesson observing your team. Reason being is that I've been alive and been in the military long enough to know how each and every race, as well as their young, react to warrior race. However, eludes me, and continues to today. Continues Mr. Veer. While I was observing you, I noticed that you and Diana had several different approaches to the simulation's tactics. However, you seem to be quite effective regardless. What you two humans show me today is that you have the knowledge to defeat an enemy that many in the Reaver military would have to spend years to acquire. You two should be proud of your results with that. Mr. Veer allowed the group to leave Alshon. However, stayed behind Mardecker. Alson, you are allowed to leave if you want to. Is there something that you wish to discuss? Yes, Mr. Vaker, it's about the humans. They unnerve me. Mr. Veer, you aren't the only one. Most of the students among this school are, to put it bluntly, scare shitless of them. And rightfully so. From what the PE teachers have said, they can run faster than even the fastest of cars, lift ungodly amounts of weight that would cause even the strongest among our race to buckle, and jump so high that they risk crashing into the gym ceiling. From what I've also seen, it's not just their cycle abilities that you should fear. I saw the mental abilities of a human firsthand. Those two are smart, cunning, and will only make moves if it is absolutely necessary to their end goal, something which new Reaver recruits won't understand until several years into their military service. Exactly what we saw today is what a young, inexperienced human is capable of. Just think, Mr. Vikra, if those two can do that, what could a fully grown human with decades of military experience like you be capable of? Mr. VR slowly walked over to his chair, sat down, and pondered for a split second. Mr. VRA, yes. A terrifying concept to consider if what the human with the red hoodie D says is true, that humans have fought each other for the entirety of their race's existence. They will likely have thousands of years worth of wars to look back on, to draw knowledge from something that even we don't have. They are truly a race of warriors, unlike any other, yet you speak of them as demons. Alson, the ancient prophecy states that demons with power given to them by the Dark One VY emerge from the stars and attempt to destroy all that was gifted to us by the Great One. Yes. I've heard the story 1,000 times. I can see why you would think of them as said demons. But the prophecy also stated that those demons would be mindless beasts. And from what we've both seen, humans are anything but that. Also consider the fact that said prophecy was created by the Reaver Council, the same council that started a holy war that to this day is seen as a desperate power grab, and is seen by all as the Empire's biggest mistake. All, except the council. Alson simply stood there, processing the words spoken to him. Mr. Vaker, if the council are willing to go to war over such petty power squabbles, is it really out of the question that they would create a fake prophecy in order to persuade youth such as yourself to fight for said power squabbles? In the name of the Great One, the holy texts say many things that are widely debated, but one thing that we can all agree on is that the Great One created all things with free will and allowed them to progress as they saw fit. If that's the case, then it would be unfair judgment to label humans as monstrous demons for simply living life the way they see fit. A son, I see. It appears I have much to think about today. Mr. Veer, we both do. However, remember this: you are young and full of potential. Don't fall into the same traps made by the council as I did. Cast your judgment and make your choices as you see fit, not the council. Don't go pissing off the humans. The last thing we need is an entire generation of Reavers confined to wheelchairs.